Hello everyone, welcome to my Soap 24 update channel. As always, this time I have appeared with the mysterious soap opera, so don't delay, like and subscribe now and stay tuned. Rocco's rushed to the hospital with alcohol poisoning and offers to tell Drew who drugged him, for a price. At Nina's, Willow comes home to find Carly with Nina. Carly says that she wanted to see how her grandchildren are doing. Willow states she is their mother, so she needs to go through her to see them. Due to her exhaustion from her trip to Germany, where Michael refused to see her, Willow is not up for this. Carly believes that Michael has comprehended her as well as Drew. Even though she still has faith in Drew, Willow asserts that Drew is under the influence of drugs. Willow has a theory. As Carly departs, Willow questions Nina about her belief in Drew. Nina points out Willow was furious a few hours ago, so what changed? She claims to have had some time to reflect, but none of this makes sense. She knows Drew inside and out, and the two of them don't keep any secrets. Nina asks if it is possible she wants to believe Drew because she's upended her whole life for him. It wouldn't just be about Drew's choices, but about hers as well. Willow claims that she has been asking the same thing to herself. Nina tells Willow that it's clear Drew has been unfaithful, and he's not the man she thinks he is. She says Drew pursued her when she was still married, and a decent man doesn't do that. She must think long and hard before forgiving him. Willow believes Drew was drugged, and she thinks they both know who did it. Nina asks Willow what she's thinking. Willow believes the escort gave the drugs to Drew, but was put up to it. Someone hired her to set Drew up. Dante asks, knew what? Lulu calls that ridiculous and says Dante wouldn't say that if he knew. Lulu says Brooklyn has done bad things, but she doesn't go into specifics. Dante yells at her to stop beating around the bush and tell him what Brooklyn has done. Carly suddenly appears and inquires about the state of the situation. Dante storms out, declaring that he has finished. Lulu opens up to Carly about their argument and has decided to tell Dante the truth about Brooklyn, but Carly tells her, don't you dare. Carly reminds her how Robin blew up her, Michael and Jason's lives about AJ being Michael's father, and Jason and Robin were never the same. Carly argues that it was not Robin's responsibility to inform AJ of the truth, and that it was not Lulu's responsibility to speak with Dante. Lulu asserts that AJ had a right to know the truth. Lulu asks, if you knew Jason had a kid out there, you wouldn't tell him? Dante is important to her like Jason is to Carly. Carly admits Lulu got her, but if she exposes this secret, she'll regret it for the rest of her life. Carly says Brooklyn's son could have a wonderful life and not even know he's adopted. She needs to make sure she is doing this because she feels Dante needs to know, or because she hates Brooklyn that much. Tracy squares off with Lois. Tracy asks Lois where her great-grandson is in the Quartermain living room. Lois asks how she found out. Tracy's glad she's not denying it. Lois says, screw it, let's do this. Tracy explains what she knows and wants to know if putting the baby up for adoption was Brooklyn's idea or hers. Lois claims that Brooklyn made the decision, and she backed her. Tracy feels Lois has been deceiving this family for decades and forced Brooklyn to keep this secret. Lois says she did precisely what Brooklyn asked her to, and the only thing she did was convince her daughter she wasn't a terrible person for getting pregnant. It has weighed on her ever since she did her best. Tracy is informed by Lois that it is her problem if she does not want to believe her. Wrong, Brooklyn doesn't know where her son is, but you do, says Tracy. Lois states it was a closed adoption, but Tracy felt she purposefully left the Quartermains out because they had the money to help Brooklyn out back then. Lois says this wasn't about money, which is all her family thinks about. Brooklyn said she wasn't ready to be a mother and didn't want to go down her father's route, dumping her baby off with the QS just like Tracy dumped Dillian and Ned off on Lila and Monica. Lois knows how the QS operate, and her grandson deserved better. Tracy yells that she didn't like their family, which is why she gave the baby up for adoption. Lois tells her it wasn't the reason, it was just a bonus. Tracy says if Lois finds them insufferable, feel free to move out. Lois refuses, and Tracy calls her a piece of work. She can't wait for the day she can rid this house of her, and she feels that day is quickly approaching. Drew pieces things together. At the hospital, Drew recalls being with Tracy at the Port Charles Grill, but doesn't tell Mac. He says everything is fuzzy, and he'll tell Mac when he remembers more. When he remembers who did this, he wants the person nailed. Later, Drew is given fluids by Deanna, who suggests his memory will come back in time. She also suggests he check his phone's GPS to see where he may have been last night. Drew finds that he came to the hospital and remembers meeting with Portia. Marco turns up at the hospital, and Lucas hopes he's not sick. They flirt, and Marco explains he was just grabbing files for a client and used it as an excuse to run into him. They head to the vending machines as Lucas is on a break and then go to Lucas' office. They discuss their date, which was memorable due to Drew's performance at the Savoy. Lucas and Marco are both looking forward to their next date. Brad storms into Portia's office with his new leverage. He got K for her and pulled Drew's medical files so she could figure out the right dose. He knows Portia was behind Drew's party the night before. Portia says she didn't drug Drew, but Brad did. Portia says nobody would believe an ex-con over her, and she knew he'd use this to blackmail her again. She orders him out of her office and to leave her alone, or she'll make sure he goes down for drugging Drew. Brad storms out. Brad fumes about Portia, and then spots Lucas with Marco in his office, and sees how cozy they are as they share some chips. Brad tells Drew that he has something that might be of interest to him. Drew insists that Brad has nothing he wants. Brad tells him, not even who facilitated your body shop party? Drew's suddenly interested. Brad, however, wants Drew to make it worth his while. Beach party disaster. At the beach party, Emma finds that her thumb drive with her work is missing. Joss holds it in her hands. They start searching around, and Gio asks if she has a backup. Emma doesn't have one and freaks out. Joss pretends to find it in the sand, and Emma embraces her and says, "You saved my life." Elsewhere, Danny finally finds Rocco alone and passed out. He tries to wake him up, but Rocco doesn't respond. Rocco finally comes to, explains he was playing a drinking game, and then passed out again. Danny rushes to get Gio to help with Rocco. Rocco continues to participate or not. Danny says they have to get him home without anyone finding out. Gio rushes to Emma when she shouts for him, but Danny promises not to tell Emma what's going on because Emma is Anna's granddaughter. Gio makes an excuse to Emma for why he has to go. Soon, Gio returns to Danny, and they drag Rocco to the boathouse. Back at the party, Vaughn checks in with Joss. She says she got the drive back to Emma and told Emma and Gio that she's seen him on campus a lot, which is how they know each other. She inquires if he has any additional questions. Vaughn asks, "Are you homesick yet?" She notes she is home, but he points out she's just pretending this is her life now. Joss understands and admits she misses parts of her old life, but those parts were gone whether she joined the WSB or not. Vaughn decides to head out, and jokes he'll see her around campus. Joss and Emma hang out later and talk about college. Emma again thanks her for finding her drive. Without it, she could have kissed the research position goodbye. Emma also considers how much she misses Cam and Spencer and how much fun they had together in the past. She says Spencer was something else. He could be your best friend and stab you in the back, but it didn't make him a bad person. Joss tells Emma she doesn't want her to freak out if she doesn't get that research position. Rocco's in trouble. Gio and Danny get Rocco to the boathouse. Danny says he'll camp out with him, but Gio insists he stick around as he has experience with this. Danny goes up to the main house to get aspirin and make coffee. Alone, Gio realizes Rocco's phone is missing. He tells him to stay put, as he'll go look for it at the beach in case anyone tries to call him. That's when Cody shows up. Cody noticed the lights were on and asks what happened. Gio explains all he knows about Rocco. Cody checks on Rocco. When he notices his breathing is off, he says they need to get him to the hospital now. Rocco is brought to the hospital by Gio and Cody, and Rocco's treatment for alcohol poisoning is taken care of by a doctor. Back at the Quartermaines, Dante finds Lois and rants to her about this thing between Brooklyn and Lulu, and how Lulu doesn't seem to want to let it go. Lois says sometimes strong women don't get along, and he should probably stay out of it if he doesn't want to drive himself crazy. Dante then receives a call from Cody, who tells him about Rocco. Lois offers to go with Dante to the hospital, and Dante says he'll call Lulu on the way. When Dante, Lois, and Lulu get to the hospital, Cody and Gio inform them of what they already know.